What's going on, YouTube? This is Jim, and I'd like to give you my review on Dead Star. Dead Star was made by Armature Studios, who's responsible for doing a lot of other ports for other games. I know Batman Arkham Hardened Edition on the Wii U. They also dabbled a little bit with one of the Metal Gear Solid games. There's a few other ones, but this is their first brand new out-of-the-box game, as far as I can tell. If you are a member of the PlayStation Plus membership, you got it for free as of the April 2016 free games. If you are a member of the PC Master Race, which I happen to be as well, don't worry, you can pick it up on Steam for about 20 bucks. Best part is it is cross-play enabled, so if you are on PC, you may be throwing down against some of us PS4s or vice versa. Now, Dead Star can best be described as a twin-stick MOBA. If you are familiar with the Star Battle game for StarCraft, it's one of the mods, this is very similar to that. You pick a ship, and you work your way across the map, destroying either NPC enemies, or asteroids for shards, or enemy ships in an all-out attempt to destroy the enemy. There are two win conditions. The first is to get a set amount of points. You get points by, again, capturing just overall bases, which give you a percentage point per base captured. So let's say there's 10 bases on the map, and I have 5 and you have 5, then our points are going to tick up at the same speed. So it's going to be a wash. If I have 9 and you have 1, I'm going to increase a lot faster than you are. So there is that base control element to it, where you are slowly trying to take over as much of the area as you can. You can also supplement this by grabbing shards from these little meteors and bringing them back to your base, which kind of bolsters up your base defenses, which makes it a little bit easier to defend. I'll talk about that in a minute. The second win condition is simple. Crush the core. Work your way across the map and take out the enemy's headquarters and destroy them once and for all. Now, to do that, you have a selection of 9 different ships that are broken into 3 separate classes. Little dinky ships, okay at everything ships, and beasts. I know that's not the real names for them. It doesn't matter. Just understand that there are 3 classes. You can mix and match between any of the 3 classes at any time without penalty, but you have to select one ship from each of the 3 classes, and you're locked into that ship for the remainder of the battle. After the battle, you can switch it out, do whatever you'd like. And again, since there's no penalty, if your team wants to run with just heavy ships, you most certainly can. If you want to do all light ships, that's okay too. But understand that each ship has a distinct strength and weakness, which can be used to defeat your opponent in the best way possible. The little ships, for example, capture bases at a much more accelerated rate. The medium ships are okay at everything, but have double the cargo to increase the amount of haul you bring back to bolster your defenses. And the heavy ships have an insane amount of arsenal, shields, and weapons, but they are slow as molasses. So you have to determine for what situation is best for you. I find it's best when you play with a buddy. So my friend Sydney and I have been jamming out quite a bit and been doing pretty well working in a 2-man hit squad. So I will say this. I love this game. I didn't know how much I would like it when I started playing it, but after devoting about 10 or so hours to it now, playing a plethora of matches, checking out the upgrade system, I really do like it. I am definitely in love with it. The battles themselves are very slow paced if you want them to be. So some people may be turned off by that because there are times when you're just farming and bolstering your defenses if that's what you want to do. Now, when I say bolstering your defenses, inside each grid of space, they look like hexagons. In the very center is the core. When you own the core, you can spawn from there. And if enemies come to attack, the core will begin to defend. As you collect materials and build up the core, you can level it up, I believe, 4 times in each quadrant. Different things will happen inside that zone of space. So a level 1 upgrade will maybe give your core double the shields. Maybe level 2 will give it more patrol ships in the area. By level 4, everybody increases their defense. all cloaked enemies are discovered, and maybe your attack speed is increased, whatever it happens to be, okay? So it is to your advantage to really harden an area before you move on. However, if you spend too much time turtling, the enemy is going to just plow you just through sheer number of owning area, and you're going to be fighting on your border. And the best thing that you could do is fight far and far away, so you could always retreat back to your headquarters and slowly advance through. So there's a lot of trade-off just in the overall strategy of the game, but that really does apply into all elements of it, because again, all those ships I just mentioned definitely have distinct advantages and disadvantages that you have to determine what is the best setup for you. I personally like the little tiny ship that has a healing beam with it. I like to fly around with my friend Sydney, who's in one of these giant ships called the Vindicator, I believe, and he just wrecks stuff. He is my tank. I make sure that he is between me and the enemy, and I just sit there and heal him. And it is a lot of fun. I have a small gun for very, very close engagements. I usually extend out just to try to get that last hit, that last kill, you know, do a little bit more damage on the enemy so he can cycle back, we can heal, and then advance. Obviously, we're not undefeatable. We are easily outnumbered because my little healing ship only has 30 health and 30 shields on its initial run without being upgraded. I get hit once and I'm dead. So you're really sacrificing a lot, but that strategy seems to work for us. I've seen people select the middle ship and use a ton of EMP grenades, which are big area of effect attacks, and they're not EMP grenades, they're just like thermite bombs, I believe they're called, and just push those out and try to clear the battlefield that way. It's totally up to you. Every time you kill an enemy, every time you grab minerals and return it, you get experience. Experience turns into levels, and then just for that level, you slowly upgrade your ship into the perfect killing machine. There are 4 or 5 different categories for each ship. Each ship has a category called core, which is just all statistics, which is just healing, speed, rate of fire, that sort of thing. And then for each individual ability that you have, you can spec into that and make them stronger and stronger. You will by no means completely max out your ship in a regular battle, although I guess if you really were playing ultra defensive, you may. So you kind of have to determine, do you want to be a jack of all trades or a master of one, maybe two? When you level up and you switch ships freely, you get a stat point for each ship. So if you're playing a lot with, for me, like the little tiny healing ship, and we're getting a big push, and I'm like, hey, I can't heal you anymore, Sid. I got to get in a big ship, and we got to go in and guns blazing and bang together. I can switch over to the big ship, and I have all my stat points there. So by no means are you forced into the ship you have in terms of leveling for that level. You can freely move around, and the stat points will go with you, which is nice. So it's not like, oh, man, we captured the point, and I was in the wrong ship, and I'm stuck. Not at all. You don't have to worry about any of that. And that balancing system does work very well. The combat is very, very fun. Each ship has a diverse slew of weapons that do different things. I'm not just talking all looking the same. Some ships have like a spinner disc around them. It's like an energy wave, and all they do is fly through the battle, and they do damage that way. Some ships have like these bubbles that they shoot out. The little ship I have shoots what looks like little BBs. The big ships that Sydney likes to use has double lasers or a big heavy machine gun, heat-seeking rockets. Each ship has a special ability to it or a special feature, whether it's the healing ray or an EMP pulse, which turns off enemy shields, a cloaking array, a wide area of effect, shield repair, the ability to drop drones to defend or attack strategically. A lot of different abilities, but don't be overwhelmed. There's only a few for each ship, and they're easily mapped to the trigger and face buttons. So it's very in line with like Heroes of the Storm or League of Legends or something, where you only have a couple abilities. It's not going to be like a traditional MMO where you have a quick bar of like 50 things. This is very dumbed down in that sense, but I like it, and it's okay, and it works. It works for this game, and it makes it so much fun. Now, in between battles, after you are done, you earn you earn these like resource cards just through the sake of playing. If you heal a lot, you may get different resource cards than if you're overly offensive. It really doesn't matter. However, you can use these to permanently upgrade your ship such that when you go into battle, your healing just does more just by the base level. So if nobody else leveled, your healing will do more, or your heavy weapon will do more damage, or whatever. And that's the only place that really starts to frustrate me in terms of balance. It's very clear the people who have played a lot versus the people who have not. Yes, stupid decisions will still cause you going in 3 or 4 on 1 is going to spell certain doom. But there are some ships that are just beasts. And it's very clear that the player has spent a significant amount of time upgrading their ship, making it stronger. And it makes it hard for us who are just entering the game to really fight back because they're just so much better. And it's not a pay-to-win system by any stretch of the imagination. There's no microtransactions. But when you have these kind of like rogue-like games, usually it's just against the computer, but when you're playing against another human, it does create an unfair advantage. Just no matter how good of a healer I am, you're always going to be better because you've played more than me, and that may be the difference in the map. It does somewhat eliminate how much skill is required. It's not as much as I'm making it sound like, but there have been battles where we lost soundly because it was clear that we were just out-perked, if you want to think of it that way. There are some character portraits you can unlock, some paint jobs you can unlock. Not a ton of customization. I don't really know what you'd expect, but it works okay. That's one of the flaws I do have, though, with that system. Graphics are gorgeous. This is by far one of the prettiest space games I have ever seen. The particle effects when rocks or enemy ships explode, all the background in terms of like all the suns and the novas and the stars look amazing. The rocket trails, the special effects. If you have ever played Geometry Wars for the Xbox 360, it probably made its way to PC and PS4. I don't know. That's where I played it. And maybe it's an Xbox exclusive. I don't know. But it has that feel to it. It's very, very pretty, very smooth. It runs very well. When ships explode, they explode into a cloud of debris. You just fly through and the dust trails all particle out. And it's really a gorgeous game. Sound effects, I don't know. I mean, I think they probably could have been a little better in that. A lot of the guns have that pew, pew, pew kind of sound effect to them. There are diverse sounds between them, but I was hoping for a little more oomph. My Bose sound system sitting in the corner just begging to be rocked, and it just never happens in this game. There is a little bit of a plot behind it, but it's really irrelevant. All you're really just doing is fighting against other people because why not? There's only one game mode, and it's either 5-on-5 or 10-on-10. However, there is in the menu another game mode, but you have to unlock some sort of relic or item in order to unlock it, and it's only a one-shot use. I have yet to see anybody on YouTube talk about it. I don't know if the feature's been implemented yet, or it's a bug, or it's coming later, but for me, there's only one game mode. You're either going to play 5-on-5 or 10-on-10, and let me tell you, 10-on-10 is great fun. I highly recommend you guys play that. So, all in all, this game rocks. You got the augmenting inside the game, you got the augmenting outside the game, you got all the customization, you got different ships to kind of help you out in terms of your overall fighting. So I really like it, and I thought the best way to close out this video would actually be to show you guys a little bit of gameplay that City and I wrapped up a while ago. It cuts out before the end of the game, so sorry about that, but we do end up winning. But just so you can get a flavor of what the game is about, if you don't already have it on the PS4, go download it. It's free. If you are a PC Master Racer, I highly encourage you guys to check this one out. I know typically I like to do an initial impressions and then a final impressions video, but in a game like this, you never win. You just keep playing more and more and more. And I have a really good sense of what is happening in the game, so I don't feel like I need to go back and readdress it. I will definitely be doing some Let's Plays with it. I had a brilliant idea for how to set that up downstairs. So next couple of days, I'll be setting up my PlayStation. I'll play online and talk you guys through some of the strategies I've been kind of working around and some of the tactics that I find that work best for me. So, without further ado, I'm going to cut it over some gameplay with a little bit of voiceover, and then I'm going to shut up and let you guys just appreciate the game for what it is. Just so you know, I'm playing with my buddy Sydney. His handle's Ehud, or Ehud. I don't know. I think it's... Hey, I'm Viper Magic, okay? He's Ehud, so no judgment on the handles there. He's primarily playing the big heavy ship. I'm primarily flying around, healing him, so you'll see a lot of that, and I'll talk you through some of that. But I have to highly recommend this game. I think it is a winner. I think it's a lot of fun. It's got a great depth to it. there is tons of replayability because no two matches are ever the same. And if you prefer to farm, if you prefer to support, do a little bit of everything, or be on the front lines, this game has you covered. You never feel like you're not contributing to the battle. And I think that is what makes this game so much fun. It has that Heroes of the Storm, teamwork, philosophy embedded in from the ground level. There's always a paper, rock, scissors trade-off with every gun you get and every move you make, and it's important to really think that out as you play through. So highly recommend this one. I give it my Jim seal of approval, whatever the hell that means. And let's jump over and check out some gameplay right now. For the live face, this beautiful face made for radio, I will see you guys on the other side. All right, here we are. We are now going to check out some Conquest. And as you can see, the layout of the map is at the bottom. It is completely random. You do get to vote on it beforehand. The advantage of a map like this is there are two distinct lanes to push, one be on the top, one on the bottom. However, there are some levels where everything is compacted and there's always big monster fights in the center. Now, as you guys notice, I want to show you guys some of the HUD stuff so you understand what is happening on the screen. In the top, we see the amount of points per second that we're gaining. Right now, both of us are not gaining very much. Both blue and red have a whopping 1 point to their name, although you will see us start to surge up as we begin to turn in. The red team will do the same. So that is how that works. First to 800 wins. There is no time limit. So if this game takes infinity, it takes infinity. Although the reality is it never will, because you're obviously getting points per second. So you know, every time you're getting a point, it's going up, that sort of thing. It's great. Okay. In the bottom portion of the screen, we have a few other things I want to bring to your attention. In the bottom left, you actually see the map. Now, I am playing in a party with my friend Sydney. He is the other green diamond in the map, so that's where I will look to find where he is at. At the bottom, you see I have a dinky amount of shields and health, both sitting at 35, which is very small. We'll get into the upgrades in a second. You just saw that pop up. In the bottom center, you see all the abilities that I have mapped. You'll see right now I only have an R2 attack, which is my primary laser attack. I have an upgrade. I haven't quite selected it yet. I hit the touchpad to do so. In the lower right, you see the level that I currently am. You see how much experience I have to the next level. My current shard count, which right now is 0. I turned all my shards in, so I don't have any. And in the bottom right is a ticker of who is dying. Now you understand the map. Let's talk about what you are seeing. Okay, we are flying around. We are trying to gain bases. In the lower left, to go touch on this one more time, now that you understand that that is a layout of the whole battlefield, you will see that some have a number 1 in them, some have a number 2. That is the current level of the command center. The more we upgrade the command center, the higher it gets. As you heard me mention a little bit a while ago, the stronger they are, the more cool things that happen when you're within that zone. Typically, people like to bolster up their main base to 2 and then expand. The area we just left was only a 1, so if we fall back there, we're not going to get any defensive perks at all, but we're trying to make a stand here in the top center and build this one up. To destroy the command center, this one's neutral. You have to destroy that big gun in the center. You see my friend Sydney and I beating on it. Once we take it and blow that up, you'll start to see a progress meter fill up. By staying in the progress meter, we own it. We hack that area, and it is ours. Once we claim it, we will get a new big gun in the center, which is our big gun. And if the enemy happens to come by and destroy it, well, it's up to them to blow it up and stand in the center and take over. Now, as you see, as I'm leveling up, I keep popping up. I happen to do it quickly, so you're not going to get to see it in a deep dive, although if you pause it, I guess, or if you really care, you could go through each of the abilities on your own. You want to do it quick because there's no pause menu, so it's not like you could say, hey guys, I have to figure out what ability I want. Now, I guess I could fly away from the battle, which I probably should have done there, and spend some time going through the upgrades, but in the heat of battle, you just want to get your ability, pick it, and go. You will always launch from the nearest headquarters. You can select that if you want. We like to spawn as close as we can to the action. One thing to note is each level is individual. So you'll notice that Sydney is level 3 while I am level 4. You do get some pretty good amount of experience by healing and, you know, turning things in and doing damage and that sort of thing. So everything you do helps out the team. It also helps yourself out because right now I have one more ability to select than he does. When I hold down X and transfer the ore, you briefly saw the list of abilities that I could select that would go into this Command Center, as I upgraded it by level 4, like I said, these things get pretty beefy and they're hard to take down. If you notice in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, our teammates have been slowly working and making our headquarters a level 3, which is great should we have to fall back to defend, but not so great in terms of us advancing, getting more. You'll notice at the top, the enemy is now getting 0.7 shards per second, and we're stuck at 0.5. That's because they own more of the map than we do. So it's up to us to push them back. And here lies in the risk versus reward. Now, they have captured this top center base. It is currently a defense rating of 1, which it means they just grabbed it. You know, we had it, they took it back. We're trying to rally and return it back to the blue team. However, as they slowly start upgrading it, it gets harder and harder. Now, is it up to them to push and bolster it down? Do they want to go in a different direction? They have elected to upgrade it to 2. So now they have a 2, it's going to be even harder to break in. And the longer we wait and the stronger that gets, the worse off we're going to be. So Sydney and I are realizing that we need to kind of push in as fast as we can and as hard as we can to start to reclaim it. Now you'll see these big ships banging at each other in the center, and I'm just trying to fly around the periphery with my healing ray. It's not spec'd up as high as I'd like it to be yet, so unfortunately I'm not healing quite as quickly as I would like. But my primary job in this mode is, I'm not broadcasting the party chat, but I scout ahead for Sydney, kind of let him know what's coming, and then I fall back to return and collect shards. And you'll see I collect shards at a very quick rate. I'm constantly, I think they call it ore, I say shards, whatever. I'm constantly turning them in as fast as I can. Now, the upgrade from 1 to 2 is not as many as 2 to 3 to 3 to 4, and by the time you get up to a significantly higher level, it's almost not even worth it. Someone on our team has determined that they want to spend the first 5 or so minutes of this map upgrading our home core to level 4. At this time, it might not have been a bad idea because it looks like we are getting thrown back. Clearly, the enemy now has a level 3 on the bottom. They are advancing on the bottom on our level 3. And they're advancing on the top. We're trying to push them back. And now we have a pretty big force here. We have a large crew of ships, and we're letting Sydney do all the heavy lifting. And we are just healing them. You'll see me crack a lightning shot here and there to try to finish them off. You see all the different attacks that one enemy has. One of our teammates has a blue ion trail, which doubles as both a shield for incoming attacks, and it is like a wall of damage if an enemy happens to fly through it, which is really, really cool because you can use it pretty well in terms of these large battles and circle around enemies. So you see him doing that, and he's blocking off the lighter ships that are healing him. You see enemies throwing larger bombs at us occasionally. You see shields being activated, all the different types of guns. And it's just too much right now. We have a pretty good handhold on where we are. Again, trying to upgrade in between battles, so you'll see me pop out of combat very quickly, pick the upgrade I want, get back to battle. Sydney is taking an absolute beating up here on the top. I don't think he makes it. I'm trying my hardest to heal him. As with everything, there are cooldowns, so I can't just spam heal constantly. I have to slowly back off and let my L2 ability cool off. You see the little pips around the perimeter, the icon in the bottom center. That indicates that I am a level 3 healer, so my healing now is pretty beefy. I believe it's spec'd out in such a way now that when he is healed, I too am healed. I obviously sacrifice that for some of my other abilities, but at this point of the game, it really makes the most sense to let him do the damage. He'll do more than I ever will. I will eventually upgrade to an EMP shot. The EMP shot will temporarily disable enemy electronics and shields, and you'll see that occasionally. It's like a purple looking laser. I do believe I have one other ability, but I typically focus on the healing and then the core. You noticed I upgraded my core slightly. I am now 75 armor and 45 health, which is still laugh out loud hysterically low. I believe at this point Sydney is probably like 250, maybe 275, 275. He's very, very beefy compared to what I am, and it works okay because, again, I let him do everything. Now, I like to poke on up ahead. I like to see what's going around out there, seeing what is available, and then I kind of tell him over the mic, hey, get ready, we got incoming this or that. As you can see, we have branched off now. We're going on even deeper into their base, trying to pick it off. You don't have to destroy these sentry guns on the perimeter, but it definitely helps. And if I can poke around a little bit, I will try when I can to do a little bit of damage. But for the most part, my job is to stay alive and mostly to keep Sydney alive so that he can shoot. You see that purple nebula at the top? There is a lot of environmental obstacles in this game. You could fly through that, but it's going to hurt pretty darn bad. So you got to be careful when you're poking around. Now, it acts as a natural type of defense, which is really, really good for... oh, I think I'm going to eat it there. Yep. Got stuck on the corner. It acts as a natural type of defense for that area. However, it is you can't control those. It's all procedurally randomly generated. Sometimes they're right next to your base, sometimes they're not. This base has a lot of debris around it. There's a lot of obstacles, so the enemy has a hard time kind of cutting through, as opposed to some of these other bases where not so much. Now I'm just going to cut right through this nebula, and you can see it immediately destroys my shields. So that was a sacrifice I took because I wanted to get over to Sydney as quick as I could. And you'll see as I slowly start to heal him, I start to get my health back, and now we're back to full tank. So I'm going to shut up. You guys got a pretty good idea of how this game is played out. Again, unfortunately, thanks to the joys of the PlayStation, I don't get to record the final match, but we do go on to win. Just through the attrition of getting 800 points, we do not destroy their core. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive of these videos. I don't do this often, but enjoy the rest of the video, and until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.
Upgrade available. Upgrade available.